Welcome back to my channel. I'm Traben. These are my homes, and we've still got a lot of Festive Murder Mystery Month to go through. Oh my goodness, I have so many festive murder mysteries to solve, and I haven't even cracked the surface. This is not going to get out in time for Christmas like it did last year. I still want to do a Christmas themed vlog, so we have so we're just going to go through the books and talk about what I'm reading, and then I'll kind of do check-ins for each book probably. This isn't going to be like a can I solve. I'm not going to go into detail on any of these, but more just quick reviews of each of these. The first, I guess I'll talk about, I've already touched on this one before on the channel, which is Murder by Christmas. This is essentially my advent calendar this year. It is 25 chapters, so you read one chapter a day. Each chapter has a little bit of its own mystery to it, and then there's a wider mystery that you're trying to solve of who killed Mr. Holly. I have found the puzzles in this one to be all over the place, and it doesn't really seem, in much the same way as Miss Winter in the library with the knife, it doesn't seem like solving the individual cases has anything to do with solving the main case. But it's still a lot of fun, and I'm trying to see if I can figure out anything with this main case. I've got some suspicions, but this is one that I need to catch up on. I'm a few days behind, but we'll definitely be done by Christmas, and so we'll wrap up right as the Christmas season comes to an end. If you had any doubt that murder mysteries and Christmas went hand in hand, this will be my next read, which is Golden Age Christmas Mysteries. So this has been going on for a long time. It is a collection of short stories. And coming off the heels of Tailored Realities, which is the last book I read through, I'm looking forward to another short story collection. This one actually looks like they're all short stories and not secretly a novella at the very end, which will be nice. So this is the first one I'll read and catch you up on. I don't know anything about the mysteries contained in here other than what it tells me on the front, which is they're Christmas classics, mystery stories. I hope that most of them, I hope that they are whodunits, because I find that short fiction, short whodunits, I think are a little bit easier for me to follow and to parse. But most of the time when I've been reading these short stories, they're not really whodunits. They're just thrillers, short form thrillers set around Christmas. So we shall see, and I'll let you know about this one first. Next up, we have Murder at Holly House. This is a mystery about someone who is found in a chimney in, I think, a small town, and everybody has secrets in the small town, and so as the detective is investigating, he's finding everybody has a motive, I would assume. This one does sound like it could be a whodunit, which is what I'm really hoping for, but could just as easily be another thriller. I think this is a new release. It had a nice display at my Barnes & Noble, and I picked it up because of the holiday theme. I didn't know anything about the actual story, but this will be the next one I read after the short story collection. Finally, we have The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. Alexandra Benedict seems to have made their career out of Christmas murder mysteries. I read their Murder on the Holiday Express last year. They also really like to put in additional puzzles in their stories, which I will probably not be attempting to find. It's like anagrams. I think in this one it is anagrams for everything that's given in the 12 Days of Christmas song, and I never catch them, and I don't think I'm going to painstakingly sit and try to parse where a partridge in a pear tree is within this book. But I do believe that these are whodunits, and there will be a mystery here that is solvable. So that will also be a fun one to read. And that will be it for this Christmas murder mystery vlog. Again, I'm definitely not getting these done before Christmas. And the video won't be up until a few days after, but hopefully we're still in that festive season. We're still wanting to hear about murder mysteries, because it sounds like these could be a lot of fun. So next update will be when I've gotten through a bit of the short story collection to give you a sense of like what kind of stories are found in that. Are they whodunits? Are they just thrillers? I'll let you know soon. So I don't think I mentioned at the top of the episode that it is already December 23rd. So when I say that I'm not getting through these by the end of Christmas, I really mean it. But we got to do what we can. And so what I'm going to start off with is catching up on Murder by Christmas. I kind of dropped off this one on the 19th. So I've got about 4 days to catch up here. And as soon as I get caught up with that, we'll start with the Golden Age Christmas mystery book. So let's see what I can do. Alrighty, it is Christmas Eve, December 24th, and update time for my books. So I am now caught up with Murder by Christmas. So I've just got one more day on this. The final reveal, I assume. And I don't know how to feel about this one. I think the puzzles here are kind of hit or miss, and I have no idea as to the main mystery, in part because you're breaking it up over 25 days, which is not my normal reading style. And so it just feels really disjointed. I've probably forgotten a lot of detail, especially from the early days. They were mentioning something about an event that happened on December 11th, and I'm like, I don't remember what that was. So I don't think I've got a chance of solving this one. Some of the puzzles have been pretty fun, and I like kind of the visual element of some of them, even though I would argue that some of the conclusions they make you jump to are not really working for me. What is really working for me is the Golden Age Christmas mysteries. So these are all, I would say, I think the most recent one that I've read was like 1960s, all set at Christmas, and so very much in theme, very much in line with the theme of this vlog. And I've really enjoyed pretty much every story in here. Collection overall is probably going to get a 4 out of 5, and I'll talk about maybe some of my favorite ones once I finish up. I'm about halfway through it at this point, and I've got a couple more hours before bed, so I might be able to read a little more of this before Christmas Day. Probably finish this on Christmas, but Christmas also is going to introduce the idea that I'll probably get a lot more books, and so we'll have to see how long it takes me to work through these last few reads. Now, I did start the Holly murder book on audiobook yesterday, and got about 10% of the way through. Nothing substantial, just basically the setup. I'm liking the main detective character. He's kind of like a very bad cop in the sense that like he let someone go because he was having drinks with them, and he's basically being punished for his behavior by being sent to this like out of the way, middle of nowhere place. And so we'll see how that goes. It's also set up as kind of epistolary, where it's someone writing about how they found the transcripts of this person, and they've got so many years of their life here in this city, and so this is just like the first case. I do believe there's a sequel, but we'll have to see how book 1 goes to see if maybe we revisit that next year. But that will be the next one I pick up once I'm done with the Golden Age Christmas Mysteries, so probably sometime tomorrow, and then we'll see how long that takes to get through. But so far, really enjoying the murder mysteries. We've also been watching a lot of Poirot episodes, specifically the Christmas murder episode, which is season 6, episode 1, I believe. But the last couple of nights, we've been starting over from season 1 and just enjoying watching the murder mysteries. So getting a good fix of murder mysteries here in Christmas season. And yeah, we'll see how this one wraps up, and I'll check in again tomorrow. Merry Christmas! It's December 25th. It is Christmas Day. Technically still. I hope you had a great Christmas. I had a wonderful Christmas. Got a lot of books. So along with talking about my current status on the Christmas murder mysteries, we'll also do a short little Christmas haul and talk about what did I get for Christmas, because I got about 20 new books, so that's really exciting. So to start with, I am almost done with the Golden Age Christmas Mysteries collection. I've really enjoyed it so far. It's going to get 4 stars. I'm pretty sure we've got one more story left. So in the intro bit from the editor, they suggested 2 stories in here to maybe read out loud to someone. And so I will be reading the last story to my wife tonight. And the last one they suggested reading out loud, not one of my favorites, but we have another chance here at Redemption, and then this will be done. And so far I've really enjoyed it. I like this collection does something I feel more collections need to do, which is give a description of the authors, their work, or maybe some of the inspiration behind the characters before you get into the story, so you have some sense of like where this is coming from. I really appreciated that in Sanderson's Tailored Realities as well. He had all these postscripts for all of his writing, and I think it's something that more collections need to do. So I was very happy to see it here. Some of my favorites in here, let's look back. I believe it was a reversible Santa Claus. A reversible Santa Claus is like pretty much a full novella within this book, but was highly entertaining. Really enjoyed that, and it has been a good mix of some whodunits and some things like that. I feel like not everything in this book is solvable, but you are watching detectives solve crimes and tell you what the solution was. There was one that was just completely ridiculous, but I honestly want to read more from this author because the rest of their work sounds really interesting. Let me see. That was Carter Dixon, and he had a series of books. The Department of Queer Complaints is where a lot of his stories were collected. And this publishing company, I found out in the back of the book, also has several books that you can order. So that might be something to look for in the future, including several John Dixon Carr books. So I might look those up. Even though it wasn't my favorite in the collection, his style seems very interesting, and I liked the vibe of his story, even though I didn't really like the solution to it. Murder at Holly House is going to be the next read. Now, I've been looking at some online reviews for this, and it seems like this one might not be as Christmassy as the advertising here is leading us to believe. I'm about 10% of the way through. I started the audiobook. Like I said, I just got through the intro bit, but I'll be reading some of this tonight, along with some of my new reads. So let's talk about what I got for Christmas, and then I'll be back tomorrow to talk about this one. So I did get the Lit Joy edition of Bookshops and Bone Dust, and this is probably my favorite treatment that I've seen so far on these special editions for Travis Baldry's work, with this like leather-bound, this like, I don't know, faux leather-bound feeling cover. It's probably difficult to see the art here, but it's got a really good feel to it. And then it's got some interior art on the front and back, which is really pretty, and I like it quite a bit. Also, the sprayed edges, all in this kind of subdued brown, which I think looks nice. It just looks nice on the shelf and is pretty. Ooh, yeah, you can tell that that's a fresh copy. So excited about this. This will go into the collection. I should probably just do a video on my obsession with Travis Baldry's work. This is the Owl Crate version of Brigands and Bread Knives. So again, like really nice cover, sprayed edges on the side. Looks very cool. We've of course got some interior art. This one in more of a sepia tone style, and then on the back, again, just very cute art. Inside cover, very nice purple, and a nice little quote on the back there from the book. Couple more kind of outliers. I got the first Dungeon Crawler Carl book because I have this in the original cover design, but I picked up everything else in the new hardcovers. So this is like getting the first book in the series again, just so everything matches. Already read it, love the series. Definitely going to be reading more in 2026, but glad that I have Volume 1 to round out my hardcover collection. Oh, we also have book 5, which you can tell is substantially thicker. I feel like this is going to go the way of Dresden, where like every new book is even longer than the last one. So this is clocking in at 700 pages, just shy of 700. So that's a substantial read. Also, even though this was on my wish list for Christmas, it's not the one I need. So we're going to have to go shopping and find book 4, because this is book 5. So, but still really happy I got it. I'm definitely going to be reading more next year. Last few things in the kind of weird book category. I got Ice Shield 21 volume 26, which my understanding is considerably expensive. This is one of 3 volumes of this series that I'm missing. I think I lent this. I had this at one time. I know I had this because I've read farther than this in the series. But I think I lent it to a friend at some point and just never got it back. And now these are all out of print. They're all super expensive. But I think now I just need volume like 33 and 34 or something like that. I was also doing a reread of this at one point, so I'll have to pick that back up because I stopped here on volume 26. So probably pick this up again, talk about this sometime. This should be a Treasure Tomes episode for sure. Really love Ice Shield 21. I think it was ahead of its time, and a lot of people don't know about it. It's also reaching its 21st anniversary, which I only know because Kinokuniya had a really interesting looking anniversary book for it, so that's fun. But again, a book I've already read. 5 different books in the You Are the Hero series, which are book games. I think I'm going to try playing these like I did the Make Your Own Slasher book, where we take a Thursday probably or a Saturday night and try to play through one of these books. So you roll up a character, you have choices. It's like a choose your own adventure, but there's like RPG elements in it as well. So 5 books in that series that I will be enjoying later. Also got this little, like, this thin book of classic Christmas poems, which might go into the rotation for like the festive reads. I don't see myself grabbing this after the season has passed, but I'm interested in seeing what's in here and seeing what they drew from for their Christmas poems. I saw there was an Edgar Allan Poe poem in here as well, so I'm very intrigued with that. So probably be something I pick up in between some other books as just kind of a palate cleanser. From here on out, it's just kind of like normal reads, the things I've been looking at recently, and things that were on my wish list. So we have Kaiju number 8 Relax, which I wasn't even aware was a series, but it's like billed as the Kaiju number 8 team is not always slaying monsters. Sometimes they just have time to hang out and have fun. And so It's just them chilling and having a good time. So I am missing. There's a part of me that's missing a little bit of the humor from the early parts of Kaiju number 8, and so I'm looking forward to seeing this and seeing if it works the way that I hope it does. Well, we have One Piece 110, which I don't really need to elaborate on. I'm 109 volumes into this, and it's going great, and I still love it. And it will show up on my list in some capacity for the end of the year recap. So we'll probably get to this later. One Piece tends to be fairly dense, so it's not something I can go and get done in an hour, let's say. So it'll probably be a little bit before I read this, but I am very excited. All right, we have The Summer Hikaru Died in number 2. This one, I will probably go back and read The Summer Hikaru Died 1, because I think that was in the middle of my 30 for 30. I was reading a lot of manga then, and I think obviously close to one a day. And so I want to go back and refresh myself on the first volume, but I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to volume 2, seeing how it's going to evolve. I've heard this series is also one that I think ended and isn't too terribly long. So I think 9 volumes, something like that. I'll probably end up picking up the series unless something disastrous happens. I have Aster and the Mixed Up Magic, which is a sequel to a book I read earlier this year that I have had a really hard time finding in stores. So I think this was an online order. But it follows Aster, who goes out to the countryside with her family, and she really hates it, and then she finds out that there's like magic and fairies and cool stuff out there, gets embroiled in some conflict dealing with the changing of seasons. We shall see how it develops from there. Very exciting and super cute book. I'm sad that it's only 2 volumes. We have Quested Volume 1. So there's a series in my comic book shop called Detective Kaiju. I've seen it on the shelves, and I was going to pick it up. I was really tempted, and I learned that it's an offshoot from this book, so I figured I should probably read this first before jumping into an offshoot series. But it sounds really cool, just like D&D-esque, escapades, adventure story, that kind of thing. And the art looks really solid, so looking forward to this, and I'll probably let you know fairly soon what I felt about it, because this and Aster are probably the first 2 I'm going to grab off this pile. I have the Universal Monsters Frankenstein that's being put out right now by Image. I've already read through Dracula, and I read through Creature from the Black Lagoon. I've heard good things about Invisible Man. I've heard good things about Frankenstein, so looking forward to this. The other 2 were really decent send-offs of classic monster movie tropes and feeling, particularly the Dracula one. I really like the art in there, and Frankenstein is one of my favorite classic sci-fi novels, horror movies. So I'm really looking forward to this one as well. I have Godzilla's Monster Piece Theater, Godzilla Meets the Great Gatsby, which also features Sherlock Holmes and some question character down here at the bottom. I mean, at this point, I think it's just whatever's in the public domain, we're pitting Godzilla against them. And I don't know, this could be great, it could be awful, but it'll definitely be interesting. So another one that I'm very interested to see where it's going. And finally, I got the Books of Slaughter 1 and 2. This is the 3rd line of comics within the Something is Killing the Children verse. I'm not sure if that has a shorter title, but we have this Books of Slaughter, we have House of Slaughter, and we have the mainline title, Something is Killing the Children. I know there are some people who were unimpressed or did not like the extension of this storyline. They thought that Something is Killing the Children would have worked better as a mini series, but I really love the extended universe and all the different groups that are involved, learning about all these side characters and all the machinations that are going on behind the scenes. while Erica is dealing with the major issues in the mainline book. So much like with House of Slaughter, I would probably only recommend picking these up if you're already familiar with the series. But if you want a really cool like horror universe comic book with a seasoned writer, great art, and a really gripping storyline, Something is Killing the Children is a great place to start, and is just a fantastic set of books. And that's it for my Christmas haul. I'll be back tomorrow with more Christmas murder mysteries, giving you my first thoughts on Murder at Holly House. So I'll see you then. Quick little update. It is December 26th, and I forgot yesterday to talk about Murder by Christmas, which I did finish on time because it's one story per day. Now, when this got to the end of the book, it did ask you to do something that I felt was a little bit too tedious for the day I was having, and so I just didn't. And I will fully admit that I just didn't want to go through and go back to all these other stories and try to map out the whole town, which is how you solve the last mystery. And so, yeah, I didn't solve the last mystery, but I'm okay with that. I just enjoyed the story, and some of the daily puzzles were fun. So, yeah, I'm sticking with my 3-star for this one. Good fun if you want something that is like an actual advent calendar of mysteries, because it is a mystery a day, so that was cool. But like I said, kind of hit or miss with the puzzles, and the last one was just too much, too involved. I'm now about a fourth of the way through Murder at Holly House, and I can see some of the criticisms that are being levied against this book in some of the Goodreads reviews. So I feel like you can have a bumbling detective who's very like good-natured, or you can have like a very self-assured detective as long as he like gets results. But what we have here is a person who thinks that they're a good detective but isn't, and is therefore like embodying pretty much all these really toxic male traits, and it's just not fun to watch him like ogle a young lady and like also like demean her, and all the while you are well aware of all the mistakes that he is making in looking at the case. So I'm still intrigued by the case itself, but I can definitely see where this protagonist is maybe not going to work, and we'll see if he develops into something more as the story goes on. Now, I do have a trip planned for tomorrow, which is going to be about a 2.5 hour drive, which with my audiobook, I can get another probably 7 hours there and back. And on the audiobook, and I've only got 9 left, I think. So this is definitely something that's going to be finished up by the weekend, but unfortunately I'm not going to have any check-in for the next couple of days, probably. But if I think about it, I'll get some nice like reading footage and some B-roll of the stuff I'm doing while I'm hanging out with my friend for the holidays. So far, jury's out on this one. Not quite sure where it's going to land. The mystery has grabbed me enough and is Christmassy enough so far to keep me entertained and to keep me invested. And it reads easy, which is another really positive aspect of it. It's not a dense read, so it's reading quick, and that's a nice quality. I just don't know if this protagonist is going to work out.
As the road becomes steeper still, I'm reminded of a hike up the Coolins on Skye. I was just a child, perhaps 7 or 8 years old, leaving my mother in Edinburgh with her cousins.
Oh, yes, in my own way. You see, he and I were often at odds. Very different personalities, that kind of thing. My father liked to think he was a bit of a genius when it came to business. Got himself involved in all manner of things that he should have run a mile from. Father say, they mould our lives in so many ways, for good and bad. I take a sip of Darjeeling. Well, I must admit, I'm bursting to know what's happening up at the Salt House. Still frequenting exclusive London clubs, then. It's clear that Ingleby hasn't lost all the trappings of the aristocracy. Oh yes, what did he say? They're planning something big round about here. People aren't sure what it is, but the place has been crawling with army top brass over the last few years.
Update time on my books. So, last couple of days, traveled out to my friend's house, had several hours of driving, and so managed to get through Murder at Holly House with the drive there and back on audiobook, and I didn't like it. Unfortunately, this is not Christmassy enough. It's not a whodunit. It is more of like it eventually becomes more of like an action book, like a maybe like a spy thriller kind of thing, more than like a whodunit murder mystery. And even the main character like doesn't actually solve the crime. Now there are points in here where you could potentially pick up on things that our protagonist has picked up on, Frank. So you can potentially pick up on things that Frank has picked up on if you're paying attention. But then at some point, he just has to be told the answer to everything. And so, yeah, it wasn't Christmassy. It wasn't a whodunit. Not that it was promising me... Not that I was assured it was a whodunit, but I was rather disappointed it wasn't something you could try to solve yourself, or at least like enjoy the ride of solving. And then 3, I really didn't like the main character. So he is, I mentioned this in a previous update, I want to say, but it did not get better. He is a character who is bumbling but really sure of himself. So it's this really annoying character trait where like everything is everyone else's fault and like he can do no wrong. He just like made a couple of mistakes to get here and he's immediately dismissive of almost everyone around him. I didn't find him funny. I didn't find him endearing. I found him annoying. Did not like him. And then at the end of the book, he has a couple of lines where he's talking about how he's not even like the main character of this like investigation. And I'm like, then why are we following you? We could have followed another character who maybe knew more or was more involved. And I think it might have made for a more engaging action thriller, but this was just not it. With that out of the way, I am on to my last Christmas murder mystery book, which is the Christmas Murder Game, and I've gotten about 50 pages in at this point. This is the story of Lily, and she is going back to her home, her like ancestral home, it feels like. She does not want to go, but she is... there's this big game going on. There's this game that's been set up by her recently deceased aunt, I want to say, who loved games, and it is for control of the estate. She does not care. Lily does not care about the estate. But her aunt contacts her posthumously to say, like, oh, also, within my game, you're going to find answers to what really happened to your mother, because Lily's mother passed away as well. And so she's there for that reason. I am getting somewhat of the very first Knives Out movie vibes. Not necessarily from the setup, but there is like this dysfunctional family secrets, a departed relative who enjoyed games. That wasn't as big a focus in Knives Out. but it was present. And so I'm interested. I'm definitely hooked. The first 50 pages of this read very quickly for me, and I am interested in seeing every day over the 12 days of Christmas, they're going to get one clue. And once they solve that mystery, they'll find a key. Once they have all the keys, they're going to unlock a room, and somewhere within that room is the deed. So it's kind of set up the general sense of the story, and now we just have to kind of see it play out. I was listening to this on audiobook on the way home. I had about an hour I got into it. I do think it's going to read better in print, though. So from now on, I think I'm just going to read from the book. I'm hoping to get a decent way into it tonight. According to this, because the 12 Days of Christmas extends past Christmas Day, I have until January 5th, technically, to get this up and still be in season. So we're going to be reading that tonight. I've got a couple of other things I've been taking a look at. Oh, I do have another thing for the Christmas haul. My friend got me the House of Slaughter, the Butcher's Trilogy, which is a bunch of comics that I've already read, but I'm very happy to have it because this comes from House of Slaughter, the offshoot series of Something is Killing the Children, and the way that series has been working, at least so far, is like all the even-numbered issues were one storyline, and all the odd-number issues were a separate storyline. So this collects House of Slaughter, I think 1, 3, and 5 into a trilogy because they're all one story, and there's a separate one that gets 2, 4, and 6, which is a separate continuous story. So I think it will read better in this collected edition. Plus, I just really like having these really big hardcovers. I'm waiting for Tynion's The Moon is Following Us as well to get collected into a hardcover before I pick it up. So incredibly happy to have this. Looking forward to rereading it. It will be early next year that I will get to that. Back to the Christmas Murder Game, and I'll be here with an update tomorrow, hopefully having finished it and give you my final thoughts. On the 10th day of Christmas, Traben gave to me an update finally. Okay, so last thoughts before I finish up the book. I've only got less than, I think, 50 pages left in the reading. So we have some updates, some rather important ones. There have been some murders in like the current timeline, which I wasn't sure we were going to get because the premise of this is that Lily is trying to figure out what happened to her mother years ago on Christmas. And so I wasn't sure that was going to happen, but it has. And so now we've got a killer in our midst, much like the previous book I was reading. You know, when a book tries to make a character like so evil and everybody's like, ooh, I bet she's the murderer. And you're like, I don't know. I've read enough of this genre to know that this is probably just like a red herring and she's probably just a terrible person. And then in contrast, you have like either the character that is so like in the background and nobody pays attention to them, or the character that's been so helpful and so nice, and you're like, I'm worried this person's going to be evil. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I feel like those tropes exist because originally they were there to subvert expectations, but now it is the expectation that if someone is being super helpful, being super nice, then maybe they're evil. That's what I'm struggling with right now, is I have a pretty good sense of who I think the villain is, but that sense is based off of very little other than vibes. Because I've read so many of these whodunits, and it always ends up being like the person that you least expect, except for now I most expect it, which is very confusing for me. So this will be the second to last update for the vlog. I'm going to finish up Christmas Murder Game today or tomorrow. Still technically be on the 12 days of Christmas, on the 12th day of Christmas, in fact. So I would still technically be within the season, which is what I'm shooting for. So I'm going to go finish this up, and I'll let you know how I feel once I've got a sense of where the story is heading. We have the Christmas Murder game finished. I finished it today. I was kind of on the right track, as is kind of par for the course when it comes to mystery books for me. I was partially right, which I guess for the purposes of like vlogs and things is the best kind of right to be. This one ended up as a 3-star for me. I felt like the puzzles were a little bit too obscure and complicated. I did not feel like you could reasonably figure them out on your own. Also, this author has a really big, a really vested interest in anagrams. And so if you're not good at anagrams, I think you're going to have a bad time. That being said, I thought the general flow of the story was fine. It's a very by the numbers. People get trapped in this case, a house, a lodge, when the snow is falling down. They don't have their phones. We found a contrivance that actually worked quite well for why they don't have their phones on them, because they're playing this game and they're not allowed any technology to cheat. So I felt like that worked really well. The end had a little bit of Deus Ex Machina in it. And resolved rather quickly given the build up to that point and how deadly this game had become. So overall, pretty good. Definitely one that I would recommend over the Holly House Murders one that I read before. I think this one definitely felt like the kind of thing that I wanted to read for this time of year, which is murder mystery, puzzles, thrilling, but also definitely had a Christmas vibe throughout. So if that's the kind of thing you're going for, this is definitely something to be looking into. I don't remember loving Alexandra Benedict's last book that I read, the book that I read from her last year, which was Murder on the Christmas Express. So I do feel like I liked this one better. I think this one is going to stick with me a little bit more. And if you are a fan of anagrams, you like looking for that kind of thing in your book, then you would probably get more enjoyment out of it than I did. And like I said, the general story itself, very solid. So 3 stars for me. I would check it out if this is the kind of vibe you're going for. That brings us to the end of the festive murder mystery vlog for this year. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and talking about books that deal with Christmas and murders. I can't believe that that's an entire genre, and I know there's so much more out there for me to explore. I kind of liked doing the 12 Days of Christmas thing. It was very like thematic to be reading, especially that last book, since it did take place over the 12 Days of Christmas. It felt good to be like reading it during that time. So let me know down below if you know of any other really good Christmas murder mysteries. What kind of things do you like reading during the Christmas season? And anything that you've read lately that you would recommend as we move in to the new year. I hope your reading journey is going well. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so we can grow this corner of our BookTube community. And until the next one, take care.